Bohemian Club with Richard McCaslin, who has returned once again as Phantom Patriot and is going to say a few words here today.
My name is Richard McCaslin. 10 years ago, I was arrested outside the Bohemian Grove. My goal was to expose the Bohemians' crimes of pedophilia, torture, murder, and treason against the American people. In 2002, I failed to convince a jury that these atrocities were occurring because I had the proof. Today, however, I hold in my hand all the proof that America needs to condemn these sociopaths. This book, Transformation of America, was written by Cathy O Brian and her husband Mark Phillips. Cathy O Brian is the only vocal and recovered survivor of the CIA's MKUltra Project Monarch mind control operation. On August 3rd, 1977, the 95th U.S. Congress opened hearings into the reported abuses concerning MKUltra. On February 8, 1988, Cathy O Brian was covertly rescued from her mind control enslavement and scheduled execution in Bohemian Grove by intelligence insider Mark Phillips. Their pursuit of justice has been denied for reasons of national security. In other words, many of Cathy and her daughter Kelly's abusers were high-ranking politicians like Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr., Dick Cheney, Senator Robert Byrd, and both Clintons. I will now read pages 170 and 171 of Trans. Cathy O Brian writes, Bohemian Grove is reportedly intended to be used recreationally, providing a supposedly secure environment for politically affluent individuals to party without restraint. The only business conducted there pertaining to implementing the New World Order through the proliferation of mind-controlled atrocities, giving the place an air of Masonic secrecy. The only room where business discussions were permitted was the small, dark lounge affectionately and appropriately referred to as the underground. Sex slaves were not routinely permitted in the underground for security reasons, leaving the lounge's small stage as the only source of entertainment. This entertainment ranged from would-be talents such as Lee Atwater, Bill Clinton, and George Bush to CIA operative entertainers such as Boxcar Willie and Lee Greenwood. On one occasion, I was instructed to meet with former President Gerald Ford in the underground, where Lee Atwater was picking and singing. As I walked through the smoke-filled room to Ford's table, Atwater interrupted his song to cryptically acknowledge my unwelcome presence by singing choruses of Over the Rainbow and Bird's song for me, Country Roads, while emphasizing the lines of Almost Heaven, West Virginia. My purpose at the Grove was sexual in nature, and therefore my perceptions were limited to a sex slave's viewpoint. Slaves of advancing age or with failing programming were sacrificially murdered at random in the wooded grounds of Bohemian Grove, and I felt it was simply a matter of time until it would be me. Rituals were held at a giant concrete owl monument on the banks of the Russian River. These occultish sex rituals stem from the scientific belief that mind-controlled slaves required severe trauma to ensure compartmentalization of the memory and not from any spiritual motivation. My own threat of death was instilled when I witnessed the sacrificial death of a young dark-haired victim, at which time I was instructed to perform sexually as though my life depended upon it. I was told, the next sacrifice victim could be you. Anytime when you least expect it, the owl will consume you. Prepare yourself and stay prepared. Being prepared equated to being totally suggestible, i.e. on my toes, awaiting their command. The club offered a necrophilia theme room to its members. I was so heavily drugged and programmed when used in the necrophilia room that the threat of actually slipping through death's door and being sacrificed before I knew it did not affect me. My whole existence was balanced precariously on the edge of death as a matter of routine anyway. My robotic state did not permit me the luxury of self-preservation, and I could only do exactly what I was told to do. My necrophilia room experience was only for the purpose of providing Michael Dante a compromising film of a targeted member anyway. Other perversion theme rooms at the Bohemian Club included what I heard Gerald Ford refer to as the dark room. When he not so cleverly said, "Let's go to the dark room and see what develops," I understood from experience that he was interested in indulging his perverse obsession for pornography. In the dark room, members had sex with the same mind-controlled slave they were viewing in porn on a big screen television. There was a triangular glass display centered in a main throughway where I was locked in with various trained animals, including snakes. Members walking by watched illicit sex acts and bestiality, women with women, mothers with daughters, kids with kids, or any other unlimited perverse visual display. I was once brutally assaulted by Dick Cheney in the leather room, which was designed like a dark black leather-lined train berth. As I crawled through the leather flaps covering the narrow entrance, I heard Cheney play on the word berth as the soft blackness engulfed me. With the small opening covered, the blinding darkness enhanced the sense of touch and provided an option of anonymity. There was a room of shackles and tortures, black lights and strobes, an opium den, ritualistic sex altars, a chapel, group orgy rooms including poster beds, water beds, and kitten houses. I was used as a rag doll in the toy store and as a urinal in the Golden Arches room. From the Owl's Roost to the necrophilia room, no memory of sexual abuse is as horrifying as the conversations overheard in the underground pretending to implementing the New World Order. I learned the perpetrators believed that controlling the masses through propaganda, mind manipulation, did not guarantee there would be a world left to dominate due to environmental and overpopulation problems. The solution being debated was not pollution population control, but mass genocide of selected undesirables. This book was published in 1995, and its sequel, Access Denied, came out in 2004. But the mainstream media has never mentioned them. If you think that Cathy and her daughter Kelly's O'Brien's case doesn't affect you, consider this. Many of her abusers were the real masterminds behind 9/11, and they are still planning more false flag attacks in the near future. For instance, Dick Cheney has cooked up a scenario in which the CIA and Israeli Mossad would launch a false flag attack on an American warship in the Persian Gulf, then blame it on the Iranians. If the U.S. retaliated against Iran, Russia and China have already vowed to defend their ally. That means World War III, and that's exactly what the New World Order wants. Don't let these cold-blooded reptiles destroy the world. In 2002, I was alone when I faced these bastards. Today, I stand here with the Pacific Protectorate, and I ask America, all Americans, to do the same thing. Thank you.